Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, your host Shane Solomon. I'm over the moon to welcome on the sofa this morning on the show someone I met recently at a networking event, Jonny Bright. Welcome to Morning Mojo.
Morning, Shane. Good to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm delighted to have you here, and I'm always intrigued with professionals such as yourself, how your mind works to be so successful in what you do. And this show is all about inspiring people, motivating people, because you're a chartered surveyor, right?
Yep.
So it's a big responsible job. There's a lot of study to get you there.
Absolutely.
So in what kind of stage of your life did you know this is the profession for you? When did you know?
Oh, that's a great question. 6 years ago, I had no idea what a surveyor was at all. And I was working in London at the time and sort of got working in projects in the city doing sort of refits of offices and IT stuff. And I met the guy who's project managing it. And I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he explained what he was. I thought, that sounds awesome. You're sort of, part accountant, part estate agent, part architect, part loads of different things. I thought, I'd love to do that. But I didn't know how I was going to do that. Bit of life changes, moved down to Cornwall. And I saw a graduate position advertised with Miller Commercial. And I thought, great, I'll give it a go. So I applied and we went from there.
So what was your background before that then? Have you done college, university? What was the...
Yes, I did the standard route. A-levels, went to the University of Winchester, did history and politics, which was fascinating and absolutely useless.
Right, so why do people do that? That's my question. Why do people always do that?
Yeah, it was the accepted route. So I went down the accepted route. After university, I worked for King's College London, the university, for a few years doing communications and PR. And then thought, no, this isn't quite right. So did a few other things for a few years, and then came down here and just went for it. And I emailed one of the partners who was hiring the graduate position. I said, right, I am a graduate, but 5 years ago, I don't have any experience of what you're looking for, but should we, I'd love to have a chat. And he came back and said, I'm open-minded to this sort of thing. Great, let's go for a coffee. So we went for a coffee in Zaffiro's in Truro. Got invited a week later for another coffee with another one of the partners, and they said, yeah, great. We think you're the right profile of person we're looking for. We can teach you how to be a surveyor, but we can't teach the people skills and how we want you to be. So yeah, Miller Commercial were fantastic. They paid for my master's in real estate, which I did part-time over 2 years. And they also paid for the assessment of professional competency, which is what you sit with the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors to become a chartered surveyor. So that was in brief.
Yeah, sure.
how I got to this point.
Okay. Because I'm always fascinated how people's lives go and the angles will go off in. So when you were growing up, then did you have no kind of ambitions or thoughts? Some people want to be firemen, people, whatever. In those early years, did you have any idea what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, well, so the very early years, I'm left-footed, so I thought I was England's answer to the left-wing issue.
I hear you.
Yeah, I got to age 10 whereas I couldn't really play football. And the glasses and the heading, it just wasn't really for me. I quite liked property. I did fancy when I was a teenager becoming an estate agent or something.
Yes.
Loved all the property shows, still do. George Clark's Amazing Spaces, Renovation Man, Grand Designs, the second ad break of Grand Designs. Oh no, she's pregnant. Or, we've run out of money again. So I did have a fascination in property, and I did, trying to become an estate agent straight after uni, but it didn't quite pan out. So I never really knew what I wanted to do. Hence I'll go to university and do something that interests me and see what happens.
Indeed. So can we expect like a TV show with Jonny Bright in the future with property? Because you've certainly got a voiceover voice. I said before we start recording, I'm thinking, I know this is going to amplify well, this voice I'm hearing. So,
well, absolutely. And as I said, it's a face for the radio and not for the screen.
Don't be so harsh. You're right. I always say I've got a face only a mother can love, and it's but I just don't care. I just don't care. So kind of inspirations growing up. Then did you have any inspirations? Watching these shows or anything at all for you for your life's journey? Do you remember any of the early days thinking, yeah, that's inspiring to watch?
Yeah, I think there were shows like that when you see people that have got a vision for what they want to achieve and how they go about achieving that, even if there's lots of obstacles in the way in those sorts of shows. But I think growing up, there wasn't really a deep sense within me of ambition in that sense. I had a very sort of standard upbringing, if you like. Dad worked in the city, and he was home from work every evening at 6 o'clock, almost like clockwork. We used to sit on the front porch with our light up lightsabers waiting for him to come home.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that really instilled in me more, it's important to provide for your family, to do a good job at work. Um, but but nothing hugely more than that for me.
Sure.
And some people have this real drive to, to work the longer hours and, climb up the ladder, which is great. Absolutely wonderful. But that was never particularly something that captured me. I don't think.
Because you're a family man, right? You have
Yep.
children.
Yeah, I've got two children, an 8 and a 5-year-old. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
And so I guess it's really important to you to get the balance right. So you don't want to
Mm.
be working all the time. You just said,
Yeah,
and it's very important to you.
absolutely. And Miller Commercial are fantastic. So I'm a single dad. They're with me half of the time, which means that 50% of the time I'm essentially working part time.
Mm.
Really, I mean, I'm available on the phone. I'll do emails in the evening once the kids are in bed, and once I've done the packed lunches, done the laundry, tidied up the house. But for me, the flexibility is absolutely key, and making sure that for them, I'm a good role model of you're working hard, but you're also absolutely present with us when you are.
Mm.
It's getting to do the school run. It's brilliant. I
Yeah.
love, and the 8-year-old, he's at the age now where he doesn't like me kissing him goodbye at the school gate.
Of course.
So I
Yeah.
make sure I kiss him goodbye
Yeah.
at the school gate.
Yeah.
Whereas the 5-year-old girl, she still runs up to me and
Yeah.
says, Dada, and like
Yeah.
jumps into my arms. I'm like, yeah, stay that way.
Yeah.
Boy, learn from her.
Oh, I think it's fantastic to hear this. And for me, which leads me on to this question, what does success look like for you? Because, I'm hearing you there talking about your children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it all the money in the world? Is it time freedom? Is it the children? All of the above? What is success to Jonny Bright?
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's something fascinating I've been learning about freedom recently, and freedom to me isn't necessarily having the choice to do absolutely everything you want, because that's almost limitless. And to me, that almost feels oppressive's not quite the right word, but almost daunting. I think success to me is if I can pay my mortgage every month, if I can, when the kids say, "Oh, we'd really want this new piece of Lego," I can go, "Yeah, if we save up, a couple of weeks, and you do your jobs in pocket money, great." It's about fostering a sense of achievement in what you do, being there for friends, being there for family, and people saying, "Actually, I've got this thing I want to talk through. I'm going to ask Johnny to go for a beer." Or actually, the kids going, "I know I can go to Daddy for X, Y, and Z, and I can chat to him about this." And yeah, it's not overly lofty, but equally, you've got to work hard to be able to pay for your mortgage. So it's an interesting balance, I think.
It is. And I asked this question because success looks different for every individual.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think a lot of people, and I've certainly been like it in the past, certainly growing up and thinking, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have all this money in
mm,
the world. And you're thinking,
yeah,
thinking back then
yeah,
that it's the answer to everything, but it really is not,
no,
you know. And wealth can be, determined in so many more things than
absolutely.
success.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the starting salary when I was at Miller Commercial was a good graduate starting salary.
Mm.
I'm earning 40, about 30 to 40% more than I was
Mm,
when I started 5 years ago, which is absolutely brilliant.
mm, mm,
Does it feel that way? Or am
mm.
I still going, actually, if I got another pay rise, I could do this? So I'm
Yes.
very grateful, and I've worked very hard for those pay rises.
Yes.
But, the level that you're used to changes with that.
Of course it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely in line with that. And I've
Mm,
always realized no matter how much I earn, I seem to spend in, this is exactly the same. There's never,
mm.
because your lifestyle kind of adjusts to that. What about, holidays and things like that? Do you get a chance to do holidays with yourself and the children, or is
Yeah,
it
well,
something
so
you lack?
it's with the time being so constrained with them, and all my paid holiday being in the school holidays. Holidays tend to be head up to London.
Mhm.
All my family is still based up in London, so I like to say, right, I'm just going to pop to London, quick 5.5 hour drive,
That's right.
and we jump in the car, and the kids say, "Should you do the M5 or the A303 this time?" And I go, "Well, I think the M5 A303 is a little bit tricky at Stonehenge, isn't it?"
Yeah.
So we tend to head to London. We had a great week there over Easter not too long ago. We did the whole shebang. We did Hamleys, did a boat trip up the Thames,
Wow.
took them to a noodle house over in Greenwich that I used to go to growing up. We did the
Love
Olympic
Greenwich.
Park. Oh, it's a gorgeous part of the world.
Yeah.
And then I've got a brother and his wife and kids are in Norway. So we think we're going to try and head over to Norway probably next summer. Be
Very
gorgeous.
nice. See, again, I feel very lucky to have the best of the both worlds. You're the same.
Yeah.
We live in this beautiful county of Cornwall.
Yeah.
You're obviously from London, but I've started discovering London and
Mhm.
doing work in London and building new friendships there and
Yeah.
associations. And it's just the difference between the two are like, night and day, really.
Yeah.
And but it's nice to have that variety in life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in London as well, I'm very grateful that I could stay with my parents. And I went out for dinner on the South Bank with old uni mates one evening, went to go and see a musical one evening with my siblings, went to go and see a gig at the Roundhouse in Camden. Novo More. If you haven't heard Novo More, listen to Novo More. It was
Okay.
stunning.
Yeah.
And I thought I've been out 3 evenings out of 6 here, and in Cornwall, it's just a slightly different pace of life down here.
Yeah, of course it is. Of
Yeah.
course it is. So what motivates you then? What is your driver?
Oh, the kids.
Yeah.
It's easy answer, 100%.
Mhm. I thought that was what you were
Yeah.
going to say, but
Yeah, making sure that they're looked after, they're cared for, and it's times living in Cornwall, being able to run around on the beach after them, the weekend just gone, them saying, "Can we get into our wetsuits and get into the sea?" and me thinking it's still pretty cold. I know you're going to be there for 5 minutes, then I'm going to be left with two shuddering kids
sure.
who are freezing. I'm going to have to sort you out. But yes, absolutely, let's get in the sea. Let's do it. So seeing them happy, getting to spend amazing time with them. That's why I'm here.
So same sort of question, and I'm expecting the same answer. What then inspires you
Mm.
apart from the children?
Apart from, sorry, I can't say the children. No.
What fires you up, to get you up each day,
Yeah.
because I know the children's going to be there because it's the same
Yeah.
kind of sort of thing. But is there anything that fires you up each day?
Yeah, I think there are 2 or 3 things at the moment, all of which are slightly different. So someone's almost cringy to say so, colleagues, if you do listen to this, but my colleagues are brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The partners that own the firm and sort of they don't run the show, but they run the firm. They are the people that I go to
Sure.
for the advice, but also my
course.
senior colleagues. I work with brilliant people. These people by and large got me through my APC to become chartered. I spent hours upon hours with lots of them asking questions, getting things wrong, and their knowledge is vast. So they
Mm.
inspire me because I like going to the office.
Yeah,
I enjoy the people I work with. I'm really lucky to enjoy who I work with. I don't think everybody gets that.
sure.
I enjoy going for a beer with them after work.
Mm.
Recently, I broke my collarbone a few months ago, so I couldn't drive for a while. And they were brilliant. People chipped in, giving me lifts and stuff. And I spent sort of more time with them in the car, being driven to appointments, and it was great. So really, like you see, I'm inspired by the people I work with because they're just great at what they do.
Mm.
Um, I'm inspired. A big part of it for me comes down to my faith as well. So I'm a Christian,
Mhm.
and I think that I've been given children as a blessing. Very lucky in that regard, and there's a strong ethos in the Bible of if you've got abilities, you use them. So you work hard where you're put, and you don't sit back and say, "Well, I'm just going to wait for things to be given to me." There you go. Actually, this is my driving force. I want to be a force for good in the world,
Sure.
and if I can do that through work and through my parenting and through my friendships, then great.
Yeah. So interestingly, I've recently been given
Mhm.
a Bible.
Interesting. Okay,
Mm.
which translation?
Do you know what? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. Sorry, I don't. But it's interesting. When they passed it to me, they gave it to me. They said, "Look, because they must be in their 60s,
Okay.
early 60s, maybe." They said, "Look, back in the day when I was younger, every household had one of these." And now it's kind of been diluted a little bit, and
Mm.
people don't have so many of them,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but it was this beautiful Bible that passed me, and I'm a Christian in terms of I've been Christians and all the rest of it.
Mm.
That was chosen for me. Not that I disagree with it; it's
Yeah.
fine. But I'm not an overly religious person. But it's one of those books I've never read, never. So they passed me this Bible, and I thought, do you know what? I'm 42, 43 very soon.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's time I read this thing because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that follow it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's interesting you talk about your faith because I'm not talking about that in the show, but
Mm.
for me, it's inspiring. It's what your
Yeah.
beliefs are,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
obviously helps you then.
Yeah. Yeah. Hugely. It's a big thing that drives me and helps you. It's a source of inspiration, of confidence. It's a source of frustration sometimes because it's real life.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
And you think, well, hang on, the Bible says this, and this doesn't match up with what my reality seems to be. But the Bible is also realistic about life can be tough sometimes,
Yes,
and it
indeed.
is.
Because that's one of my questions. Is there any good books you've read? You know?
Bible's pretty top tier. There are massive parts of it I do not understand. Some
Sure.
parts I think, "Oh, I don't go. What's going on here?"
Yeah.
And parts that are genuinely comforting, and parts that are absolutely beautiful as well. I mean, the
Mm.
poetry in there is gorgeous. But other good books, I've been reading The Hobbit recently
Oh,
with,
right,
with
yeah.
the 8-year-old. He loves that.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely loves that. So getting to introduce him to the books that I grew up. Harry Potter, we've almost finished all the Audible books. So we listen to that a lot. But for me, I'm also reading Human Traces at the moment by Sebastian Faulks. He's one of my favorite authors. He's gorgeous. It's all sort of early 20th, late 19th century, based in Europe, a lot around the wars, and it's sort of these minute human stories set against the backdrop of what's going on in the world and how they interlink.
Mm.
And again, there's just some gorgeous imagery in there. And one of the lines I read the other day in Human Traces was happiness creeps up on you, because we're all after happiness essentially.
Absolutely, we are.
And it just, you think it's a destination. It's not a destination.
It's a journey,
yeah, it's a
right?
journey. It's a state of mind. And this thought of it creeping up on you, yeah, really struck me. And I liked that.
Someone once said to me, Shane, enjoy the journey of building your business. He said, because once
Mm.
you get there, once you've, hit that kind of level with that goal that you've set, he said, you'll be looking for something else. He said, don't be
Yeah.
in a rush to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So what do you do when things aren't going your way? So when things aren't working, this is one of the questions I like to ask,
Mhm.
and you're having a mare of a day.
Yeah.
And, how do you get over that? How do you change your mindset?
Get in the sea. Cold water therapies, I think they call it. Or
Mm. It's very big at the moment.
it is big at the moment. Yeah, so I enjoy that. So I try and get in the sea, try and exercise. The endorphins and go from that is great. So there are certain things I try and do by myself to sort of ground myself and go, right, it wasn't a great day for whatever reason.
Mm.
And this is what I'm going to try and do myself to do it. Other than that, I'll call my mum.
Mm.
She's still top of my favorites on my phone.
Sure. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the day
Mine
when
too,
she's
mine
maybe,
too.
when she's number 2, maybe that's the day I've made it. But yeah, so call my mum, call my mates, and typically say, right, I'm having one of those days. Can we pop over, have a chat, watch a rubbish film, watch a good film? But there is a big aspect of, if you can't, it's not always down to yourself, but if you can't focus yourself on what you know is the issue and take yourself away from the situation and go, just breathe. It's all right. It's just life. It happens. Could be a bit tricky. I live on a fairly new housing estate that used to be a farm. So about a 3-minute walk down the road, I'm just in fields. And at night, you can see the stars and it's gorgeous. And a friend of mine took me out there one time and she said, just look up at the stars. You're fine.
It's pretty awesome, right?
It is awesome.
I never take that for granted. It blows my mind still.
Yeah.
You look up and you think, wow, the moon, and just the simple things.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up in London, I didn't know what stars were until I was about 18.
Well,
That's street lights.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought they're beautiful.
We got a lovely place down here. We've got some friends in Weybridge that got this beautiful property, and the light pollution there is non-existent. And the stars are just so bright.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
You think, how lucky are we?
Yeah.
So, do you have any favorite quotes? Any kind of inspirational kind of lines that you could leave with our kind of listeners and viewers?
Oof.
If you haven't, don't worry. But
yeah, well, I've been using this one for a while and only recently found out who it was.
Okay.
So comparison is the thief of joy.
Okay.
Turns out that's Teddy Roosevelt.
Right. Okay. That's
Former,
a good one. Yeah.
I was going to say prime minister, former president in America. And it's huge because
Yeah.
there are times when I look at my life and there are certain things I would like that I don't have.
Sure.
There are
Everyone
some-
can relate to that for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. But I imagine those people would look at what I have and think, that's pretty cool. And that's not to play my own trumpet, but we all look at what other people have.
Oh, absolutely.
And we all think, oh yeah, that looks great. I've got wonderful friends. I've got a great job. I've got a lovely little house.
Yeah.
Beautiful children. And by and large, a great life.
Yes. It's like old saying, grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
And just
Absolutely.
being grateful for what we have, the attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one of my favorite lines from my favorite book of all time, which is Peter Pan.
Mhm.
Peter goes full circle, and at the end, to live would be an awfully big adventure.
Yeah.
And it's, as you said earlier, it's the journey.
It is the journey. So I reckon you must be like the real life Peter Pan. So I reckon you're probably older than you look because you're one of these youthful people that's on this show. I'm thinking, oh my goodness me. But I'm not going to even ask you your age because that's rude. But
Take a guess.
mate, I would. Right, this is the crazy thing. I would put you at something like 26, 27.
I did moisturize this morning. No, I'm 31.
Yeah, you go. See, there you are.
Well, in fact, what's hilarious about the professional world in Truro, I run an annual quiz at the Old Ale House for young professionals. It's a quiz, Christmas quiz, drinks, pasties. It's great. 2 years ago, I ran it for the first time, and somebody from a law firm that shall remain nameless said to me, "Why are you running a young professionals event? Aren't you almost 30?" And for the first time in my life,
Wow.
I felt old.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, but I am now the ripe old age of 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got good genes. What can I say? Well, look, this happens every single time. We set a limit to 20 minutes approximately on this podcast. So,
Yeah.
to keep it to that. journey to work time and things like that, so it's not taking up too much of people's time.
Yeah.
But it really has been a delight to have you in here just to chat to you and find out more about
Yeah.
Jonny Bright.
Thanks very much.
Have you got any kind of parting words, anything, if people want to get hold of you from a business point of view,
Absolutely.
what's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah, so Miller Commercial, obviously we've got a website. My direct dial is 01872 247 022. We deal in all aspects of commercial property, empty premises, transfer of going concerns like hotels, guest houses. We'd love to talk to any landlord who's got property they want advice on, valuations. We've got a building surveying team. We manage commercial property. So we're a full service commercial property team of chartered surveyors. I love my job. We haven't spoken about that much really because let's face it, you can just Google it. But yeah, my job's great. I love it. We get to speak to local businesses. I'm speaking to national retailers about opportunities at the moment. It's a great time to be in the commercial market. I think it's brilliant. So yeah, if you want to chat, there it is.
And indeed, they're a very respected firm as well. They've been around forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the name Miller is everyone knows Miller in Cornwall. As I was saying earlier, there was a commercial buyout 30 years ago. So we may look the same as Miller Countrywide and Millerson. We're not. They're very good at what they do in the residential world, but we are strictly commercial. Yeah, offices in Truro. We've got a sister company in Plymouth called Listers. So yeah, it's a great place to work, and I'm very very grateful for what they've given me.
Well, I get that feeling of gratitude quite well there from you. So, well, there we go. Look, another podcast over in a moment, a fleeting moment for me. I could speak to these guests for like forever. I really could. So, Jonny Bright, make sure you connect with this guy. Absolutely nothing but a gentleman and a wonderful family man by the sounds of it. The children very lucky to have you, sir.
Thanks
That's
very
for
much.
sure. But anyway, as always, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Jay Kennett producing the podcast today. As always, thank you for listening, sharing, liking, loving, all those things. I do appreciate it a lot. Make sure you have the most amazing remainder of your day. Thank you very much indeed, Jonny Bright.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.